What's good, YouTube? Mario Devon here for yet another video. So, a common question I get, I sound like one of those influencers. Yeah, a common question I get is that you want to see my skincare routine. I'm sorry, that was probably mean, but there you go. You know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, seriously, a common question I get when I post videos is always about my color grading. And I appreciate what y'all think about my color grading. And you know, you've been wanting a video about color grading and photo editing. So here I am. We're in this room here in the studio space that is upstairs, different from the studio space you're used to seeing, and we're gonna actually sit up here in front of this here computer and we're gonna walk through some color grading. I've talked about color grading on my Instagram. You should follow me. It's gonna be somewhere here on the screen. You should follow your boy, hang out with me, okay? I post a lot there. I try to post a lot of content, you know, teaching you things, you know, on the go, some quick tips, and I also share a lot, you know, of my life and stuff like that, you know? Many people have also asked, hey, do you have LUTs? Okay, that is something I will try to start building a catalog of so I can actually, you know, provide to you all on my website. But, you know, for the most part, I don't use LUTs. You know, many times I just like to, you know, have full control over every piece of color in this thing, and the reason why I want that is because for me, every edit is going to be different. There are some brands that have like Rec 709 conversions, and then you can, like, you know, control the colors from there. And it's also very important to have something that's like, you know, 10-bit color. If you have a camera that can shoot 10-bit 422, this video is just for you. So that can be something from the Canon R6, R5, A7S III if you have that. I also think the Fujifilm X-T3 has 10-bit color. I'm just saying you can use these techniques for that. That is really what I'm going to focus on. We'll do another video on something like a neutral profile, how you would go about color grading that. But this is specifically for log format. So you want to make sure you're getting good footage. If you're shooting on the A7 III, I can tell you do not use S-Log3. I think you've heard this before, but S-Log3 is just, it's really flat. It's as flat as some cinema cameras I've used, and it's just hard to really bring that footage back to life without the artifacts and things popping up in your colors. So I'm just telling you, you know, I mean, you may want to stick to S-Log2 or even HLG. I love using HLG with the Sony A7 III. And of course, I'm going to have footage in here showing you like before and after of like HLG with the Sony A7 III because that's exclusively what I shoot with that. But you want to make sure if you're shooting 10-bit log that it's overexposed at least by, you know, 1 or 2 stops, okay? If it's underexposed, it's going to, you know, kind of get a little grainy in the shadows, but if it's overexposed, you can bring things back in the highlights, but you can also retain a lot of detail in your shadows. So let's go to the screen, all right? So what we have here is already a project I've done with my good friend. Her name is Casey Samsel. She's actually a Mr. Olympia level bikini bodybuilding competitor, okay? So she's next level. So right now you'll see the footage is actually graded. I'm gonna show you how we get it from this to actually this, okay? From this to this. There's other shots in here that are well graded. You go from that to this, okay? So we're gonna actually walk through the process of how I get there. First thing we wanna do is we wanna go over here, okay? This is where you're gonna do your color grading in Lumetri Color. Okay? Right now we are in Lumetri Color. This is where your color grading will be done, okay? So in basic correction, this is just your color correction. What you can do is adjust your exposure, okay? You can also adjust your contrast. There's different things you can adjust throughout that thing. And I know you already know about that, but I'm just gonna walk through these really quickly. And creative, you can get more creative. You can actually add your LUT if you want to. If you want to start with the LUT, I'm not going to start with the LUT. So in this part, I'm not gonna do anything except for maybe come down here and, like, you know, mess with the tint and the shadows. I can go to my curves and I can make some adjustments too. In curves, you can actually adjust your shadows and your highlights just like this, but you can also go down here and you can pinpoint exact colors that you want to change, especially when you're using 10-bit. Just to show you a little bit that I did, I wanted to change the hue in this here edit, and the reason why is because it was very yellow in the room, so I wanted to target the yellows and I wanted to actually adjust it. And I didn't like the yellow that was here, that was cast on her hair, that was on her skin. I didn't like that tone, so I wanted to change that to actually match the room, match the atmosphere, but also match her skin tone. When we go down, you'll see the color wheels and match, okay? In here, you can actually go to your specific levels, your shadows, midtones, and highlights, and you can make little adjustments. So say for instance, if I want to raise my shadows, I can do that here, but I can also adjust like the tone and the colors that are going to be in the shadows. So say for instance, we have this little green tint. You can always do this to kind of change the atmosphere of your edit. If you want it to be more light and bright, you can do that. If you want to have a more moody, the Matrix kind of look, this is, you know, where you can actually do those those type of edits, especially if you're shooting in a log profile. So I'm gonna mute my track with the color grading in, and I'm actually just gonna select this here clip. So how would I go about color grading this clip, okay? So very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on the correction, okay? So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working on my darks, all right? I'm just gonna show you the easy way to color grade. I start with my basic color correction, and I try to bring some of the colors back to life in the contrast and also through the blacks, because I know it's like really gray, and when I can see that the blacks are like turning into something, now I can kind of like see that it's coming to life. From there, I'm gonna bring some of my exposure up, and the reason why is because once I darken those blacks and I darken those shadows, I'm losing color. I mean, already with C-Log, it's already looking pretty good. From there, I'm just gonna lower my highlights. I'm gonna probably increase that exposure a little bit more, increase that contrast, gonna darken those blacks a little bit more. What I wanna do next is like add more life back into the footage too, so I'm gonna increase that saturation up to about 114. So that's the before and after so far. Again, you can see these yellow tones in here, and we're gonna get to the curves in a minute. And for my tint, I'm just gonna go to about 4. And little micro adjustments like this can actually do a lot to your edits. So you don't really have to make a big adjustment, but you just have to bring everything back in that color correction, and then you can start, manipulating colors individually if you want to. I like to go to curves because I like to, kind of make an S-curve in a sense. I'm gonna bring those highlights down to about here. I'm gonna darken those shadows a little bit more. I'm gonna bring them up though. Then I'm gonna make sure, I can see like, oh, all right, what is it gonna look like? And so far, it's not a big change, but what I've done is kind of diffuse her skin a little bit. It's a really subtle change that you may see, you may not see, but I can see it on my screen for sure. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at colors that I don't like, all right? I'm gonna look at colors in here that's like, yo, why is this here? This is disgusting and I hate it. The main color I see that I really wanted to change in this edit was the yellow. What's cool about this is that you can always pinpoint where you want to change it. So say for instance, you're like, oh, I want to change the hue and saturation of the hair, like in this area, you can just click that. What happens here is wherever you click with this here drop tool, you actually get those colors there. So now I can make this, hue saturation work here, and you'll see that if I raise it, her hair gets very yellow. And if I lower it, it actually desaturates it. So I could have gone about this edit that way too, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to change this color completely. So I go down here to hue versus hue. What's cool about that is I can do the same thing. I can go to that hair, I can pinpoint that, and now I can begin to adjust the actual, yellows in the hair. So now it's not as yellow. I mean, hopefully you can see that subtle change. It is a very subtle change, but now that yellow, like say for instance right here and in her hair, you don't see the yellow tone just popping out. You can also see the change in yellow in the background of the footage here. It's not as yellow. And again, I did this because of the tungsten tone of the lights that were really being cast into this gem, and I really hated it. And I was like, okay, I have to shoot this in a log format, because the colors in here are ugly, okay? I'm sorry, Jim, this Jim here, I'm so sorry if you're watching this, but the colors did not mesh well, okay? If I scroll down, you'll see things like hue and luma, so you can change the luminance of certain things. So I'll hit her skin with the luminance. What's cool about that is you can really, really brighten someone's skin, make it look very unnatural, or you can really darken the skin. But if you push it too hard, you'll start to see artifacts. So you wanna bring that back up. And I can if I wanted to darken her skin, I could have, but I really didn't care about that. Like I wanted it to still look like, her. So for this part, that's pretty much what I would do with this color grade. So there you go, that's your before and that's your after. I didn't want to do much with it. I wanted to still, like I say, make it look natural, but at the same time I wanted to bring all those colors back, and that's how you do it. Like the main thing you need to do is just focus on getting your color correction right. That is the first step. So let's do another clip that's in this edit. Let's do another clip. We're going to another room of the gym, all right? You can see that it's really flat, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't overexposed because of the windows back here. It was just really bright out there, and it was just like good. The natural light that was coming in looked beautiful, but I still wanted to have more control over the edit. So what I would do here, so I'm gonna go back to this clip here. This is gonna be my primary clip. We're gonna go about this the same way. What I'm gonna first do, I'm gonna go contrast, good. So as I'm seeing the contrast, the way it's looking, I'm like, all right, I'm underexposed. So I'm gonna go to the exposure, great. I can grab the highlights here, bring those down, great. If I want to, in this case, I can actually, darken this, get those blacks back, and that's what we have so far, okay? The other thing I'm gonna do, and I wanted to show you this because it's different than the other one, I'm gonna bring these up. I'm gonna bring the exposure up because I still wanna be able to see her, okay? So there we go, we can see her, that is the before, that is the after. But now let's bring that saturation in, okay, cool. So we're making progress here. I'm gonna bring some of that contrast back in. I'm gonna darken the blacks again to bring it back to life. I'm gonna bring the exposure up again. So now I'm just looking at this and I'm like, you know, is that where I wanted to go? And so far, yes. What I wanna also do is, let me go back to the clip. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm also looking at the shadows. So I'm gonna bring this back down. Looking at the shadows, gonna bring those shadows up. What we have now is a nice before and after. I don't like the yellow still, so I'm gonna go down to the curves. I'm gonna bring some of those highlights down in the curves right here, and you can see that that's getting darker now. And I'm gonna also work on here. I'm gonna create that S curve there. And what we still have good before and after, you can see like just from the curve section what has happened, okay? Beautiful. So I'm gonna go here now, I'm gonna bring that up right about there. Again, from the curves just alone, it's a necessary change, because now I'm looking at her leggings and I'm looking at just different things. It's not overexposed, okay? And that is the beauty in shooting in 10-bit log, C-Log especially. So right now, that is my before and after. Let's look throughout this clip. And now I'm looking at the clip and I see a little yellow in her hair that I don't like. So I'm gonna do like I did before. I'm actually gonna go down here, gonna look at hue and hue. I'm gonna do that drop tool. I'm gonna drop it right on her hair. And what I'm gonna do is just a subtle raise in that tone. I just wanna bring that up a little bit, not too much, because I'm trying to match this. This was a big theme here. It's like right over here where the 5 is, that paint, that real clay kind of tone paint. I wanted that to kind of match the entire edit, because all the walls are painted that way. So I really wanted to set the atmosphere even in the color grade, okay? What's cool about that is when you figure out your look and your whatever, you've kind of created your own LUT. And what I like to do is create an adjustment layer and actually copy and paste that to the adjustment layer to, you know, pretty much stretch across the edit. And that is the reason why you see the adjustment layer right here. What I'm gonna do now is just, you know, I've copied and pasted it here. Now you can see that it's all here. Let's look at the before and after right here. That is the before, that is the after. The only adjustment I'd make on this clip is I'd actually bring up the exposure. We have plenty of room in the exposure. I'm just gonna bring that up a little bit, and there you go. You have a beautiful clip, boom, and it seamlessly flows in. The colors look amazing. Let me bring this down so you can see it even better. That's the before, that's the after. Before, after, okay? All right, so let's keep it going. Now I have more C-Log footage, and this is C-Log footage from the Canon R6 review. And I figured it'd be good to go through just because of it's a different environment. We're in bright sunlight. Just wanted to show you what it would look like. So in this clip, I would still go, you know, with the same approach, all right? So I'm gonna scroll just so I can get a good frame that I'm okay with. I'll go with that one, okay? So same approach. I'd increase that contrast, okay, just to bring it a little bit back to life. I'm gonna darken those blacks yet again. Now, my shirt actually looks like, you know, what it looks like in real life, almost. Gonna increase that contrast some more. What I'm gonna do now is lower that exposure just to see what it looks like. I'm gonna darken the shadows, okay? Now I'm gonna increase the exposure. Let's see where we are, okay? So we are already bringing this thing back to life already. So I'm gonna increase that saturation, all right? I'm just trying to see how much I wanna increase it by. For this, I think I'm gonna increase it more. So there you go, we have it way more. It's a little cool. I may want this footage to be warm, so I can still use this basic color correction area. So I'm gonna warm it up a little bit, okay? So now it's warmer, all right? There we go, before, after so far. And if I wanna have that green cinematic tint, if I wanna just add a little bit of this tint right here, I'm just gonna bring that over just a little bit. So what we have before, after. What I like about this is, like I said, when you're in 10-bit, you can push the colors how you want to. So that's another thing that I would do. Let me bring this down so you can see a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm looking at something. I'm like, all right, so the hue in Luma, I'm going to darken this. I wanna kind of make this a little bit darker. So not that much dark, but just a subtle bump below, okay? So what we have now is just gonna go to the curves section, and we're gonna see before and after for the curves. So overall, you could do that same approach, all right? I started with the basic color correction. I can even go to creative if I want to and work on some tint here. What I'd rather do is go down to the color wheel. So I'm looking at the shadows, and I kind of want to make it a little bit more, you know, a greenish, tealish thing. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna bring this about right there. The thing about it is, with these, you want very, very subtle. So as you can see, my skin tone has even changed a little bit. So I'm gonna bring this back up a little bit right here, all right? Really subtle change, not too big of a difference, but it's kind of gives us that filmic kind of look. But overall, this is what it looks like, okay? So that is the current, that is before, that is after. So we've really brought this a lot back to life. But the thing about it, it is the same. Hold on, let's unfreeze that face. God, make better faces. There we go, I'll take that. Goodness gracious, Mario, all these ugly faces you're making. But Either way, we've taken that footage from nothing, that log footage, all the way to this, and I think that's a really good color grade, okay? So really quick, no LUTs, just straight out of Lumetri color, it's right there. So I hope this helps. If you take this approach, it should work with any log footage. Like I said, Sony a7S III 10-bit, Canon R5, R6, Fuji X-T. What's good to know in the industry right now is that most cameras that are being released, especially newer mirrorless cameras, you get that 10-bit color. So if you get that 10-bit color, you can take these steps and still apply that to any camera brand, anything, any type of log footage that you have out there, and you will get similar results. Just make sure you just make those adjustments, and I hope this helps you. All right, apply these to things that you do, and let me know down below if you want to see more videos like this. We're gonna go through photo editing, we're gonna do HLG editing, so I'm gonna show you just different ways I go about color grading footage, no matter the camera, no matter the brand, doesn't matter. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend if you think this will help them. But I will see you on the next video. Peace out.